Welcome to the Blooming League of Original Podcasts.
G'day and welcome to an extra bogan edition of Thrash and Treasure, the torture chamber musical comedy podcast that popped off to the pokies for a punt and came home with a meat tray full of snags. Oh, beauty nuke. And speaking of popped off, pardon me, I'm Aaron, and I'm joined by an honorary Aussie and daggy bogan in the making who doesn't just boomerang her, he'll buy her dinner first, because he's Spencer the Broadway Spy. How's it going?
That was a good one, Aaron.
It's a good one? Thank you.
That was a good one.
That was an 11th hour thing. I had nothing. So how are you doing this week?
Good, very busy, but trying to keep things up. Seeing Wicked, the movie this week. Very excited for that.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, while I'm on Wicked, I'll give you the good news. If you remember our episode 96 with Diane Pilkington, who has been mentioned at our show a dozen times, so grateful. I love Diane so much. Now, when she was on the show, I actually asked her, as the longest serving Galinda, have you filmed a cameo? And I was watching her face. I was watching the eyebrows and the body language, and she hadn't. Lo and behold, about 9 months ago, something was said. I don't remember what it was, but I mentioned Ariana Grande, and Diane accidentally said, oh, she's so lovely. And I said to her, you did it. You got it. You got a cameo, didn't you? And she did. She's in the film. So I'm so excited. I can finally tell you, Spencer. Congratulations, Diane. I am so incredibly happy. And also congratulations on the red shoes at the RSC. Also, just one last thing, and then we're going to move on with the show. For our listeners at home, Spencer and I had booked Tony Todd, the Candyman, and we had him booked in last year. We were going to do a Halloween episode. He was the only person I said yes to doing Sweeney Todd to. Like 100 people have suggested it. I said yes to him. Alison Fraser, our first guest, was coming on that show because they were old friends from 40 years ago in New York City. So I was going to have a horror legend and a Broadway legend on this show. We were going to sit there and we were going to interview them both about the good old days in the 80s. And unfortunately, we had to postpone, and then time went on, and then my sister passed, and, you know, obviously I wasn't up for recording for a little bit, but then I reached out, timing wasn't good again. And then sadly, in the past couple of weeks, the world lost Tony Todd. He was an incredible actor. He was amazing. But not only that, I live in a world where I had emails coming to me from Anthony Todd, for crying out loud. And I've got a Final Destination poster on my wall right now, and it's going to stay on my wall for every recording, so Tony can always be with us. But not only that, having him on the show, having a yes from him meant the world to me, because it's my sister's favorite movie, and one of my favorite movies too. She had the crow tattoo on her thigh, and It Can't Rain All the Time was played at her funeral. So when I reached out to him again, it was with tears in my eyes, and unfortunately it just didn't happen. And he was a wonderful guy. You know what, Spencer? He was so excited to come on this show because he got to talk about two of his favorite things, musicals and metal. But anyways, compose myself. We're going to get on with the show. Guess what?
What?
We have another legendary Aussie diva in the bridal suite tonight, and Grant is one way to describe this royal personality, because when a little night music beckons this queen to leave home and away, she slippered into the woods and over the hill to a country practice on E Street to see the GP, Dr. Mary Poppins. But while golden fiddles, the vagina monologues when it's broke, frayed, and about to be in a shackle, whilst dating the enemy at the Hotel de Love. So let's get away from it all as we have a change of heart, or this time tracks, then sway towards Balmain, boys, by way of the two-door mansion in Europe on New McDonald's farm. And on that farm he had a piggy named Penny, an opera named Threepenny, plus a babe named Pig in the City, and a pajama dame named Babe. Talk about twisted tales. So before I bake on a torture song or sizzle with a love song, here come the Habibs to help me and those All Saints, the Brides of Christ, plus two girls and a baby, as well as Rebecca, the Three Stooges, Evie May, Georgie Girl, Mary Bryant, the Ferrells, Mr. Accident, Francois Charles, and not just Macbeth, but his population of 11, as we all bubble up a huge Aussian g'day, along with some toil and trouble for this witch of Eastwick who swept in and cursed, I'll get you, my wicked, and your little buck too. Now it's yellow brick and big skies in my eye. Help me find water rats before they sail away, on the higher sea, with the legend Enyo being Waikiki hip in the South Pacific. And now we're all wet, Australia's sexiest tradie. Wait, where was I? Oh yeah, the party job. Wait, what? Exposure, huh? Freudian slip. But what is this, book week? Before we get no strings, good times, room hums, company, there'll be no activity, only tragedy. Well, a tragedy if Mr. and Mrs. murder this misanthrope before I can welcome into our torture chamber a criminally gorgeous small-time gangster from the underbelly, an eternal bombshell who is innocent of the Claremont murders, but after the verdict was found guilty of barracking for the umpire, and I can't work out why for the life of us. But that's okay, as we hit the home straight and slip-slop slapper Tanya back to Porpoise Spit for today's chosen Muriel, so peel on your skankiest banana bra and keep your head above water, because the tide is high as a pyramid defying gravity for the alpha babe of Aussie stage and screen who might have cooked the chook, but loving her is easy because she's beautiful. Pippa freaking Grandison. Goodness gracious me. Holy
Wow.
shit. I'm going to die.
My goodness, that was incredible. Well done, you.
Talk about Porpoise Spit.
Thankfully, I can only see you, not feel what's coming out of you, so to speak. Wow. There were some things in there I forgot I'd done. I'm like, what's he talking about? Oh, that's right. I did do that. Very clever. Very clever.
I did apologize in advance. I am so sorry. And then I screwed up half of it anyway. So it's the rhythm I couldn't get today. Going from talking about Tony Todd to then that, it's a bit much, but I did it.
That's the way it goes. That's live theatre.
That is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That is. So yes, welcome to the show. I'm so thrilled.
Thank you very much for having me. It's taken us a while, hasn't it?
It has for our listeners at home. Unfortunately, there's been personal tragedies in both our lives. So
I'm sorry to hear about your sister, and obviously my mum went too. And this is the human condition, right? We're here for a certain amount of time, and then we're somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't say no one really knows, because some people think they know. I don't know where we go. I like to think we live on in some way, but you can't really come back and tell anyone exactly what's going on. So how do we know?
That's it. No, look, admittedly, because last year in December, I also lost a great supporter of mine. A couple of weeks later, one of our guests, and then a month later after that, another best friend of mine died of cancer as well. So I went through this whole period of freaking out that it just ends, that there's nothing after this. And I've sort of, this year we haven't had very many episodes because I've been going through this sort of anxiety of losing so many people just from underneath me. And
it really makes you aware of your own mortality, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Apart from the fact that there's the grief involved in it as well. But I think that I'm with you. Things get really hard. I've been, I know everyone makes jokes about perimenopause and menopause and all that jazz, but it's really not very funny. For me, it's brought on this massive anxiety, and I have panic attacks, numerous panic attacks every day. So I'm learning how to live with that, and some depressions come along too, and just a couple of weeks ago, I've sunk really low, and yesterday I was low too, and still I'm like, what am I going to do? So I just remembered what a psych had told me once on one of my many long shows where I was going bonkers because it had been going on for so long and I was away from home and family. Keep moving, they said. Do something even though you feel like you can't. And so yesterday I went out and I dug a massive hole in the garden and transplanted a camellia that I've been wanting to transplant. And I really did feel better. I know that sounds a little bit trite, but I think keeping moving and kind of writing your own narrative in a way, if you like. It's not always possible, because when the black dog gets you down, it's kind of hard. If you fall down that hole, it's hard to get out, but you can write your own story if you keep practicing it. I'm trying to teach my kid that at the moment, but anyway, Spencer, hello to you too. You're excited about the Wicked movie. I'm really excited about it too. My kid wants to take me along to see it. What have you heard about it?
I have a lot of friends who have seen it already, whether it's because they're influencers or they were invited to the premiere or they were in the show at one point. And so I've heard nothing but good things from everyone. I see it Wednesday, so I'm very excited and optimistic.
Great. Yeah, good.
Last time I saw you, Pippa, was actually 2006 in your Jimmy Jammies in the Pajama Game.
Oh my God.
At the production company, which is my first experience of that show, but it was wonderful.
That was a great fun show, and they're very short productions. The production companies, short rehearsal, short run. It's kind of really wham bam, thank you, ma'am. It was great fun, really good fun, great show.
Yeah, you hear the same thing about the Encore's productions here, which are 10-day runs and I think 10 days of rehearsal.
Yeah, quick.
About how it's just wow, quick. You have no time to think.
Yeah, that's right. And sometimes that's good. sometimes it's great. There's this energy, there's this kind of adrenaline, or there's always the adrenaline that goes with performing for me anyway, but it's a different thing. And everyone bands together because we're all in the same boat. We're all terrified. We know that. No one can hide it. So way to do it sometimes. Sometimes it's a little too much. But anyway, look, when you're working, you're happy to be working in this industry, you know?
Tell me about it. So we've got bookings. I'm very happy. I know, Spencer. That's a great segue onto the Wicked.
The Wicked.
Oh, yeah. So you were in Wicked. Wicked is now released as a movie, but you saved the Australian production by stepping in at short notice, didn't you?
Wow. Well, that's a really nice way of putting it. I'm not sure if everyone would feel the same way, and I don't think I saved it, but...
They're not on the episode, Pippa. You saved it.
I was happy to step in. Once again, though, because it was between myself and Amanda when the show was coming together.
Okay, yeah.
Two of us at the end, and they gave it to Amanda, and she was amazing. And I went and had a baby. So everyone was happy. And, then when they asked me to come back, because Amanda was leaving, I was thrilled. But it was tricky because maybe that's why I say I'm not sure I saved it, because I had a very short time to get on. Very, very short time.
Yep.
I think really, realistically, the rehearsal period for me was spread over 2 weeks, but they were only half days and not every day of the week. So it was really short. And I didn't get to practice the alphabet dash at all, except for in front of an audience and then throwing straight into No Good Deed. So was like a deer in the headlights for the first little while, but it all settled down. And I mean, it's such a great show, such a great show. So I was thrilled to be able to do it for a little while. And then I went off to Edinburgh and did a show at the Edinburgh Festival after that. So Charlie was 14 months old, I think, when I stepped into Wicked. Yeah, so big time.
It's not a small role to step into, Pippa. You're downplaying it. I'm sorry, you are. It's a killer role. Ask any alpha.
Yeah, it's true. I think maybe I'm being a little self-deprecating because I wish that I'd had a bit more time, because I didn't think I did as good a job as I potentially could have done. I know that you don't necessarily want to hear someone being insecure, but I did always feel like I was kind of running to catch up. And then the few shows when I would come off and think that everything had gone as well as I could have done, I was super excited. But it's a massive, massive role, massive. And I was really, really thrilled to be able to be a part of it.
And look, it doesn't matter how good or bad you do on stage. You're getting compared to the alphabet that those girls or boys saw before it, because that's what they do. That's what they do.
Well, that's the thing. I know, interestingly, for some reason, something compelled me. I've never done it before, and I'll never do it again. I went online and had a look in those kind of chat rooms where people talk about people performing, like a Wicked thing. And I told Amanda that I'd done it. She went, "Oh, girl, step away from that." Yep. It's like, don't do it. She said, "I did it too, moth to a flame." And the things that people say about you, oh my God, so mean, really mean. And it's because I'm not who they want to see up there. Then you get other people then jumping on and defending me. And you're like, "Oh, thanks very much." But then, gosh, and I mean, I'm not a spring chicken. Wasn't new to the industry when I stepped into that. And I've had some knocks. I've had highs and lows and all the rest of it. You wouldn't think you think I'd be able to go, yeah, whatever. But I think the nastiness of it and the attachment you can see that people sometimes have was quite shocking to me. That being said, those forums can be really great for the fans and the people who love the show, because you get to share stuff. I think you can't please all the people all the time. It's just the way it goes being a performer. Some people come away from the very same show. Some people love what you do and love the show, and other people go, she didn't do it for me. So you just don't know. You're right. You just got to do the best you can do and enjoy it and tell the story.
Yep.
And then art is subjective. So it's out there for the masses to experience and do with what they will.
And forever listen to the recordings on YouTube where it says Pippa Grandison, amazing performance, defying gravity and stuff like that. Like, you have some really good critique there. I just want to throw it in there. When you dug the hole yesterday, did you walk in and go, "Steve, I dug a hole"?
He's very used to calling out, "See where I am," and I'm down a hole, because we have this big property that we decided to move. We moved from New South Wales to WA, where I came from, and we decided to buy some land, and most of it's for the wildlife. And then we have our section for us for growing fruit trees and veggies and pretty things that I like to look at. But it's very rocky too. So quite often you'll hit rock and you'll have to get a jackhammer and jackhammer the hole if I can't move it But usually the holes have to be deep if I'm transplanting like a tree or something like that. I have to dig metre by metre hole, and I'm quite short, so often he can't see me if he looks out into the garden. Yell out, "Where are you, Spratty?" I'm like, "I'm down here." So yeah, it's not a big deal for him if I came in and said I dug a hole. He'd be like, "Oh, okay. What are you putting in that?"
Wouldn't you get the reference?
What do you mean?
Well, you've got your own castle. Stephen Curry walks in and says, "Dad, I dug a hole."
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Every Aussie says it. When we dig a hole, we walk in the house and go, "Dad," or whoever, "we dug a hole."
I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm a bad Australian
You
because I never
are.
do that.
You
I never
are.
say that.
No. Oh,
Yeah, but Stephen Curry's a shithead, honestly.
no.
No, he's not. He's beautiful. I'm just hoping he
no.
might hear it and go, "Hey."
I got picked up and swung around by Stephen Curry years ago
Really?
at Global Studios in Nuttawading. Anyways, we're going to move on because we'll be chatting more about Muriel's wedding later, but it is the 30th anniversary. So I'm wearing a tie today for the special occasion. Don't we all feel old? Except Spencer, who wouldn't be born for another 8 years. So I'm sorry, kid, but you can't hang out with us anymore.
No.
No.
No. We don't want you hanging around us anymore,
Nah.
Spencer.
I actually saw it, though, as a 9-year-old, along with Priscilla a month later. So if those listening want to know why I am the reason why I am today, this is why. And speaking of traumatized, we're going to move on to the metal now. Well, actually, this week we're doing punk, and you picked the album. So does that mean you have a bit of experience with metal, glam metal, industrial metal, thrash metal?
I thought you were going to ask me if I had any experience with Amyl. That was a long time ago.
No comment.
No comment. Bit of experience with all kinds of music, actually. I've got quite a varied taste in music, and also my kid and my husband, they've got their own tastes as well. And when they want their music on, it's really loud. So I hear it anyway, whether I want to or not.
Yep.
I love rock and roll. I love metal. I mean, I like Nine Inch Nails, and there's a lot of different kinds of music that I like. AC/DC, of course. Punk, I really love too. I have to be in the mood for it though, because it's so relentless. Like I listened to the whole album again last night, and I loved it. But I thought, oh, okay, now I need a chamomile tea. I think now, but I love the energy of it. When you want to release and you just want to let go. That's what punk does for me. And I heard I came late to Amyl and the Sniffers. Actually, they used, I think, Freak to the Front on an episode of Population 11.
Okay. I wouldn't have recognized it, but I did watch it.
No, I mean, it's mixed in and out and everything's as they do. But I thought, wow, what is that? And then got further into them and just love it. When you want to let loose and go crazy and just, fuck it all, then I like to whack that on for sure. What have you got there?
My leather jacket studded from 2001, 2002, 3,
Well,
4.
that's going to look good with your tie. That takes it to a new era.
Oh, yeah. We used to wear like shirts and like a tie dangling down chains and.
Yeah. That brings back memory.
If you could pick your ultimate most over-the-top rock star rider, what would you put on it?
No water.
Yeah, that's Aaron's rule. Aaron said you're not allowed to request water.
That should be a given. You're given water, full stop.
Well, you hope so. You hope you're given water.
People booking artists, get them water, full stop. This is not an argument anymore. Do it. Sorry.
That's right. Are you asking me what I'd want on my rock and roll rider?
Yes.
I don't care what Aaron wants.
Oh, Aaron, what do you want?
World peace. That's what I want. Put that on my rockstar rider.
Can you fit that on a trolley?
No.
Yeah, I refuse to play unless there's world peace. That's the rule.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'd love to say that there'd be a lot of music playing, but it might be fairly quiet.
Taylor Swift might pull it off.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a fan, but.
Yeah. Well, she's good though. She's, she's good.
But anyways, this is your rockstar rider.
It's mine.
Yes.
It's my rockstar rider. Well, I've had riders before. I wouldn't call myself a rock star.
Oh, what did you have on them? I have to know. What did you have?
Okay. Well, I didn't request what I wanted. I just got given it, right? So there was food. Mm-hmm. There were sandwiches and fruit and other little bits and pieces. Wine, white wine, red wine, beer. I don't know if spirits or not, but I'm not a spirit drinker before I perform.
Yeah.
Bubbles as well. Yeah, it was great. This was a performance where I could have a little tipple before I went on. I used to sing in a jazz blues band where I would drink red wine the entire show. That's in a pub, so you've got everything you want behind the bar. That's your own rider anyway.
Spencer studies jazz.
Did you say Spencer studies jazz?
Yeah, he's majoring in it.
Cool.
I used to.
Used to. Oh, well, I can't keep up with you. Doing everything.
He's done everything.
It's been like a year and a half since I've been majoring in jazz.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we were talking about jazz last week. All right, sorry.
I still like jazz. I'm a big modern jazz fan.
Oh no, okay. So what crazy stuff would you put on it? And how many puppies or goats running around?
This isn't crazy, but these days, now that I'm an old lady, it has to be French champagne. Some sushi, probably. I wouldn't mind maybe like a fish tank or something like that. That could calm you down.
Yeah.
If you need to be calm. Oh, what about you've got to have something like a pool table or a pinball machine?
Yes.
That would be good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm down with the pool table, definitely. Anyways, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to Amyl and the Sniffers now because you chose Comfort to Me. So I've reviewed that and I'm going to jump into my review because it's a little bit long. So when we first decided to open the lid on Amyl, it was with vague memories of hearing the band's name and chuckling to myself, and vague memories of my sister and her roommate giving me a bottle to sniff as a 12-year-old, in case anybody is wondering why I am the way I am today. And speaking of traumatized, I didn't know they were Melbourne punk, so I pressed play and got a whiff of a rowdy but powerful and yet fun band that does precisely what punk should: piss off the parents. There are some influences strewn throughout, bands like B-52s, Runaways, and even Devo. And whilst I'm still on the first track, Guided by Angels, after 20 minutes, I realized I'm on repeat. Oops. So taking it forward, it's Freaks to the Front. Again, rowdy and powerful and authentic. They seem to make popular choices without compromising their vibe or genre. I feel safe and secure with this effort, which is a rare feat, like letting me into a pub when I'm too drunk. Though I did once make out with a security doorman. I then puked 30 seconds later. Whoops. And whilst that memory hurts, I have no more tears left to cry, which feels like a cover of a British song. But turns out, no. Maggot starts up, what did you call me? Capital hits hard with a strong political message and does what punk sets out to do. Short songs about the disillusioned. Don't fence me in and don't fuck with her, because that's not a knifey. This is a knifey and one hell of a song. Dark and at my size and my body strength, relatable. And yet there's a wink or a tongue-in-cheek to it, somehow. Not humorous, but hard to pinpoint. But I could take a stab. There's an almost mocking vibe aimed at creeps who haunt parks to attack women or anybody vulnerable. This song is about making their balls shrink. Odd for a band named Amyl. But that's the foxymoron here. Amyl are pretty tight as a whole. And at 34 minutes, it goes in easily. But how to score it out of 5 stars? Well, I simply can't. 6 stars. Fucking brilliant. I loved this album. It was great. I could hear all these influences in it, but they never took over and it never compromised that Melbourne pub punk sound, which I grew up as a 15, 16-year-old drinking with 30-year-olds in Melbourne pubs. So most of those places are closed now. Don't worry, they're not going to lose their license anymore. Like, House of Fools, Footscray, the Birmingham in Richmond, the Art House when we were able to get into the Art House. Places like that, like we were listening to the bands like this. Now here is one that is able to make a mainstream sound without losing that quality of looking over and seeing some old dude pissing on the floor next to us. So in case you're wondering why I am like I am today. So I love this. I really did. I never paid attention to them. I chuckled at the name, but that was about it, really.
Yeah, it's a really cool name. Really cool name. I'm glad that you've been introduced to them and you love them so much. Me too. I kind of stepped away from that kind of music and I haven't let loose like that to that kind of punk for a while, and it's opened up an old part of me, let's say. Yeah, and yeah, they're fucking great. She's a firecracker, right? Unapologetic and brutally honest, and it's rare. And as you say, they don't compromise. The musicality comes more from the instruments because she sings most of it, right? And the band is fantastic, particularly for me, the drummer, but I do love the drums. Like some of those fills and rolls, and I don't know, they're just really, really tight. And yeah, I love them. Absolutely love them. Knifey is one of my favorites.
I don't know how to describe it because it's not funny, but there's this dark humor behind it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a quintessentially Australian thing, right? Encasing pain and sorrow and grief in humor, because the humor opens people up. and then you're able to get in and give them a message. It's really a very Australian thing to do. And I feel her pain in that song from when I think back to when I was younger and I just wanted to go out by myself at night time and walk around and I didn't feel safe. And it was similar to her. I used to get around in small outfits and stuff like that just because I wanted to. And I was really fucked off that was apparently attracting
creeps.
Attracting unwanted attention.
Or other C words that we won't say because I'll have to bleep it out.
Oh, cunts. Okay. Right. I see what you're saying. Well, they're everywhere.
Yeah, and look at the times we're in at the moment, that people are fighting back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and as she says, she's got a knife there. You know, this is how I get home nicely. I have to have a knife, but I don't want that. Yep. I turn around and I run because I'm not tough. Because if I was confronted by someone, I don't know if I'd be brave enough to actually knife them or fight them because I might be killed or raped or whatever. And it's that lyric. All I ever wanted was to walk in the park. It's like, and you stop fucking us up. It's a cry out to just please just let us be. That frustration in it, you know.
But done in such a way that's like not necessarily threatening, but it's standing up.
That's right.
Shoulders back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. It is. It's having to stand up. Having to be tough when you don't feel like you are, basically, makes you tough and puts a hard kind of coat over you that maybe you're not. It's not naturally your way of going about things, if you know what I mean by that. And Freak to the Front was great. You know, like just like that. Be who you want to be and fuck them if they don't like you. You know, just keep on partying. Well, in the song, obviously, she uses
the C word.
See you next Tuesday.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot. Yep.
But they are quite political, and I just love them. I just love them. They're a great band. You know.
Look, there was even hard rock elements in there, like a guitar riff that's not punk.
Yeah, the guitarist is really rock and roll. His solos really take it somewhere else. So they're like a mash, you know, of punk and rock and metal, and they're really unique. As you say, they're reminiscent of the old Aussie punk, but they're fresh. They've got their own sound, and they work really well rhythmically together as well, which might not be the first thing you notice, but when you sit down and listen to it, they really work as a unit.
Yeah.
Really well, I reckon.
Yeah, and look, I thought No More Tears was a cover. That's how good that song is in terms of just standard, in terms of quality. And
it's a beautiful song.
The composition, her voice, obviously you mentioned the Sprechen song. In punk, it's more of a shouting, if anything, but
yes.
No, it was just, I loved it. I couldn't give it just 5 stars. I'm like, no. And look, I love the C word. It's my favorite word. You know, it's just really meaty. But I'd love to sink my teeth into it.
Well, you know, there's all different kinds.
There is, but hearing it, I cringe. Does that make sense? Like, I love to say it, but when I hear it, there's like, especially really loudly and hear it so much, like after a while, it does make me cringe. But I didn't hear.
What is that because of why is that, do you think?
I think probably because I'm aware of, like, I'm here in my bubble, but there's also people outside that can hear what's going on inside that bubble. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm concerned for, like my elderly parents and my neighbors and the child I raise.
Oh, okay. So if people might be offended, right? Yeah. It's not about how it comes at you, because we raise our kid who doesn't drop the C-bomb very much, but we're swearers, and I swear without wanting to a lot of time. If I drop something on my foot or if I cut myself or something, the first thing that comes out of my mouth is the C word.
Yeah,
I just can't help it. I don't mean to, and usually with a fucking in front of it or something like that. But Charlie would come home from primary school. Oh, everyone's getting in trouble for swearing. What about this swearing? And you guys swear? We do. We use swearing mostly as an adjective, you know, like never said to anyone in anger or to hurt anyone hurtfully or to insult anyone or in an attacking way. That's how we raise Charlie to swear, because everyone's going to swear. If you're a swearer, you're a swearer.
Yep.
And it's going to start when you're in primary school probably. So just do it properly. And we've said to please try not to swear when there are other people around who might be. Why? Because they might be offended.
That's, like, I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
Being raised by, like, not raised, but spending so much time with my nana growing up. That's very much, I guess, built into my conscious. Sorry, Spencer, you're so quiet.
Well, we've just been gas bagging. Probably Spencer
know.
can't get a word in, or he's having a well-deserved nap while we're bagging on because he's got 100 things going on in his life.
He does. His glasses are so perfectly like over his eyes that we can't tell if he is actually sleeping or not.
No, I'm here. I thought it was the national word of Australia.
That's the thing. Like, I've grown up my whole life hearing it, but always known that overseas it wasn't a thing. Americans especially would never say it, but nowadays I'm hearing it all the time from America. And
Well, it used to be that it would be be shocking, I think, and you see films, TV shows, plays, and drop the C-bomb into shock, to get people going, oh my God, this is an edgy piece, and it's just becoming quite familiar now, I think, around the world. You're only allowed to have, some productions can't have any C-bombs in them, but a lot of TV that I've done, they're actually allowed a certain quota of swear words and specific swear words. So if you're allowed to improvise as a character, I played a really rough character the other day on Mystery Road, and she'd be a swearer if ever there was one. She'd be a C-bomb dropper all of the time. And I asked, and I wasn't allowed to drop the C-bomb.
oh,
Well, actually, no, I was allowed to drop it once, but you're restricted. No, that's too many fucks. That's too many this, too many that. So it's restricted. But I think, I don't know, it's a good word. I reckon it's a really good word, but it's less shocking now than it used to be. So
yeah.
Anyway, I'm just rambling on.
Well, I remember when they released Hamilton as a film, they rated it PG-13, and I think you only get either 1 or 2 fucks with PG-13.
Right.
Yeah.
So they had to cut a couple of fucks. And I remember reading an interview with Lin-Manuel Miranda about it. He was like, yeah, it was a really hard decision. We sat there for hours being like, which one do we cut? Which one do we keep?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. How do you decide? Are they more conservative generally? I mean, this is a gross generalization, but do you think that the American audiences are more conservative?
Oh, yeah. Network TV, it's a no-no.
Oh, well, network TV, yeah.
Right.
Whereas over here, you'll hear it at midday.
But if we're talking about theater, it depends on the work. Musicals, they're definitely much more conservative for the most part, but also sometimes you see the most wildest, crazy shit.
Oh, here he goes. Look at, see that pile of, behind him is a pile of playbills. He's trying to see every show on Broadway in a season.
I thought it was a pile of other kind of magazines. I was going to say, what's he going to pull out?
This is 2024.
Teeth, yes.
But like Teeth, which is a show about a woman with teeth in her vagina, which is one of the craziest, least conservative things I've ever seen.
That's right.
Every once in a while, one of those comes.
Yeah.
But most of the time it is, pretty conservative, pretty boring for the most part. Every once in a while you get a play about race where they use the N-word like one time too many and everyone gets really uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's tricky these days. I like the fact that we want to make sure everyone feels comfortable, but it's very difficult to do that. It's an ever-changing world, and people, I manage to offend people all the time without meaning to.
So does Aaron.
Me too.
Honestly, and I got every time, always, I did a lot of music theatre, as you know, and I'm kind of moving into directing now, so I've been directing it. But I would get in trouble. I was always in trouble. Too rude, too naughty, too honest, just not quite right. Just a bit of the black sheep of the cast most of the time.
I feel so seen, Pippa. It's not funny. This is a struggle. I'm doing it all the time. Don't worry.
I think in this life, hopefully, we attract our peeps in life. I have an unusual sense of humour. I don't necessarily bring it out all the time because it's got me in a lot of trouble.
Yep.
It's quite dark. And I remember dropping something. I won't say what it is because I will offend many, many people. But I remember dropping what I thought was a hilarious joke in a foyer. And it just died. It just died in the ass. and these people, I mean, not with everyone. My 2 friends next to me were pissing themselves laughing, and then they stopped quickly because other people were just looking at me like I just shat on the floor or something, and I guess I kind of did. And I said, I'm joking, and I'm sorry if I've offended you, but oh gosh, never came near me again. Never came near me again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't do it so much now because I think we're all a little more careful about what we say, which is good insight. But that's what I mean. Like when you're with your mates that understand and you want to let loose with a bit of dark humour, I think that's the place to do it.
Yeah. It's like Caroline O'Connor says when she wants to change feet, she opens her mouth.
That's very funny. She is very funny and very talented. Gosh.
Absolutely wonderful. But anyways, we're going to quickly get Spencer your thoughts on this. So we're going to move us on because we're talking so much. We're going to go way over time.
It's fine. I didn't really like the album that much, so
Yeah, look, it's an acquired taste. There's no doubt about it. And that's fair enough. It's like me in Wicked, an acquired taste.
Last week's medal got 5 stars from Spencer, so we were all shocked.
yeah, it did.
We're all shocked. The world, even our listeners, were like, "What, Spencer?" I could hear it from here. Anyways, well, we are going to move on. It looks like the Amyl's dried up, so we're going to open up an ad break. From the producers of Thrash and Treasure, around the world in 80 plays, starring the adorable Lizzie B and Alfie Parker, and featuring the star of the show, Dolly the dog, they'll take you for a trip around the UK, exploring the rich arts and cultural history. But here is a sneak peek.
Howdy. Welcome back to Around the World in 80 Plays. I'm Lizzie B and Nat.
Alfie Parker.
And we're joined, as always, by the winner of Pup Idol, Dolly the dog. Woof. This week, Alfie leapt over to Dublin for the 11th stop of the Sister Act UK and Ireland tour, while I can now be found back in London at the Dominion Theatre for Sister Act the Musical's heavenly return to the West End stage. Because I have actually started rehearsals now. Who would have thought? Very exciting.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Felt like a lifetime away, and then all of a sudden, here I am. But yeah, all good. If this is your first time joining us, we're exploring the UK and Ireland's wonderful arts history and culture as we make our way from city to city with Sister Act the Musical, or at least that's what our producer tells us to say. How's the week been for you, Alfie?
Yeah, very nice, thank you. Back in Dublin. Dublin's nice. I always like Dublin. This week's been good. Back at the Bord Gosh. The theatre is lovely. We'll talk about that later. And yeah, back on the road, kind of getting used to it, getting the swing of it. Flying now and technically international. Whoa. So a bit of a superstar here.
You're a bit grown up being on tour without me as well, aren't you?
Yeah, you know me. It's kind of just a big grown-up, big boy, really.
What did you do when I wasn't there to pack your bags?
Cry.
Yeah, thought so. So, has anything exciting happened since our last episode?
Since our last episode, what's happened? Well, we have Ruth Jones officially on the stage. Now, that is exciting. And Ruth's absolutely smashing it. She's great. And every show, she's kind of adding bits and finding bits and putting her own spin on it, which is great. So it's lovely to have Ruth there. We're playing Traitors at work, which is intense but very fun. I'm still alive. For how much longer, we'll find out, but I'm still in. There's about 500 dressing rooms at the theatre, so everyone's got their own. That's nice. I won't let you know if I am a traitor or a faithful. You'll have to find out.
You can let us know at the end.
I'll let you know when it's finished. That'll probably be next week. And we're staying in some lovely apartments by the lock. By the lock? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. By the quay. By the lock, by the quay, by the water. Just around the corner from the theatre, so that's really nice. But as far as kind of exciting things, I put a Viking helmet on and went wound on a Splash Viking tour.
Went wound.
I went wound and wound on the Viking Splash tour, which is like a bus that goes in the water and converts into a boat. Very cool.
We're back with Thrash and Treasure. I'm Aaron, that's Spencer the Broadway Spy, and there is something in the air this night. The stars are bright because we're joined by Pippa Grandison.
Hello.
Goodness me. Now, if the performing arts had an Olympics for amateur artists, which events would you want to watch people competing at? And which discipline would you compete at to win gold? And why would it be bursting a wine glass with that whistle?
Oh.
The control on this lady, listeners. Goodness gracious me.
It's a shame I don't have that control over my sense of humour and my
Your mouth.
yeah, my mouth.
Totally get it.
Well, all my snats for that matter. Honestly, I've been a very naughty girl for most of my life. Thank goodness I finally settled down and stopped fucking everybody. Sorry, now ask me again because
Okay, like an arts Olympics.
an arts Olympics. Okay.
Art Olympics. So there'll be like singing and dance and music and stuff like that is competing. Like they've got singing shows
Yeah.
and Battle of the Bands and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Aaron's been on a real Olympic kick lately for some reason.
Have you?
Because Paris was wonderful, but I have been since I was 7 years old. 1992 swept me away since then. Anyways, so Arts Olympics, what would you compete at and what would you want to watch?
Gosh.
And would it be breaking a wine glass with the whistle tone? Because as I say, goodness gracious me, that's not everyone can do that.
I could try the whistle tone. I mean, the older you get, your vocal cords change. And I haven't actually tried when I'm really warm, because my kid now is obsessed with the whistle tone. His friends got wind that I'd done it and they looked at it on YouTube or whatever. And he wanted to try it. And it's to teach someone how to do it.
Yeah, I tried doing it.
Yeah, you just find it and it's there or it's not. But that could be a good one. You could probably still do that. Actually, holding the longest note, that's what I'd like to compete in. Yeah, I may kill myself at this age, but I could always do that. Okay, so let's say it's the longest phrase. It's not necessarily just a note, it's the phrase, because that's a real skill, getting through a really long phrase without taking a breath. So maybe that.
Yep, tell me about it. I do those introductions, Pip.
And very well. What about if we have people like standing on their hands and singing their songs?
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
But in a bend back or something like that. Like for those people out there that can tie themselves in knots, those fantastic dancers who can dance and sing at the same time, that is a skill I will be forever amazed by. So some kind of physical feat whilst singing at the same time, like upside down or turned over. Maybe.
The competition should just be having to sing Not Getting Married from Company as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah.
It should just be singing a Sondheim Patter song.
Or I did one in Witches of Eastwick too, Words. Words is quite a tricky one too. It gets faster and faster and faster. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, multitasking. But I mean, these triple threats out there, they multitask all the time, but add other things in too, like having to get changed at the same time or having water thrown on top of you or that kind of stuff. That's what I'd like to see.
Yes, dancing while singing and acting down a gauntlet while we throw balls at them.
Yeah. Having to, so kind of marry it in with those shows where they have to try and jump over things and they get smashed by something coming at them from the side. You know, those silly shows?
Yeah, someone actually back on Wicked just quickly, someone said on threads on social media that how do you get people to stop singing during Wicked the movie?
Oh my God, why do people sing in the audience? It drives me fucking mad.
I know, I don't worry, go on about it all the time on this show. And I quoted that and I said, you bonk them on the head with a giant oversized rubber hammer.
Oh.
I've just been saying that I'm going to throw shit at them.
Well, yeah, do that too, right? But that comment that I wrote got reported for violence.
Oh.
The hammer's rubber. It's not violent.
Because apparently I'm a fucking Looney Tune now.
You are. Well, that's clear. And we love that about you. Well, see, people are offended. But if you're going to sing at a musical, there's got to be some repercussions.
Yep.
You know? And, look, I mean, I know there's people out there going, but I love singing at musicals. And it's nice that you want to sing, but it's not the place.
No.
Buy the CD and go home and sing it there and have parties and have people around and get dressed up and sing it there or go to karaoke and sing it there. You're paying what? A shitload of cash to go and see someone who's really good at what they do singing it for you. Listen first, then sing later. Please.
Yep.
Please.
I have an absolute hatred of the show Moulin Rouge. But I was talking to one of my friends the other day about, right now it's Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, where they raise money for charity. And I said at Moulin Rouge, they should fine people who sing, because it's a jukebox musical where everyone knows the songs. During this like raising money time, they should fine people each word they sing.
Yes.
Oh, then we get some good money.
Yes. Tell me about it.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea.
That's also an Olympic sport, is getting people to shut the fuck up when I'm trying to listen. I paid big money to be in this audience, kids. I don't want to hear you. I want to hear the amazing performers on stage.
That's right.
It's not just about them paying to go and sing along. Like, the rest of us have to put up with that. Like, I love opening nights. Moulin Rouge was funny because it was this total alpha Chad male right near us, and every song that came on, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I love this song. Oh yeah," like that.
Oh, bless.
Oh my goodness gracious me! I wanted to deck him. I wanted to bonk him on the head with a giant, oversized rubber hammer.
Now, look, don't be so violent, Aaron. Also, though, what about high jump? Like, when they throw themselves over that really high bar. You could try like a whistle tone at the same time as that.
Yeah, as you come down, I can't even whistle now. Anyways, okay, we're going to move on because Spencer and I have spent the past 2.5 years working together. And this episode is all about Australiana and boganism. So we've got a pop quiz for Spencer.
Ooh.
So what does gas bagging mean, mate?
Am I allowed to Google?
No, your hands in the air. I want to see your hands. I want to see your hands in the air.
Like you just don't care?
Yeah.
Where are his hands?
I have no idea. I think it's an insult for someone.
No.
Well, no, you're way off. Way off.
Yeah.
I think it's a good insult for someone calling someone a gas bag.
Well, actually, yeah. He's onto it there. Definitely. I mean, it can be used as an insult. Can be.
Yeah.
But, well, most things could be if you phrase them in a certain way, deliver them in a certain way.
You give up?
What is it?
It means you're talking.
A lot.
Oh, like Aaron.
Yeah, very much.
It's like you've got gas in a bag. You know what I mean, Spencer? So it just kind of gets released. It goes, you just can't control it. It's just like...
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, he spent a lot of time listening to me talk.
Gas bagging.
Yeah. Anyways, what are Australia's 2 long-running soap operas called? Oh, you should get this.
Why would I get this?
Because I ask every British guest that we have on the show which they prefer.
No idea.
Oh, Home and Away or Neighbours? Goodness me. Okay, what 2 cities have hosted the Olympics and which city is next?
Well, LA is next.
No, shut up. Australian cities. I knew I screwed that one up when I asked.
You think I know what's after the next 4 years? I barely know that it's LA.
Okay. Well, where has it been already in Australia then?
I'm going to say Melbourne and Sydney.
Well done. You got 2 points. Where's it going to be next in Australia in 2032?
Let's go Brisbane.
Well done. You get 3 points.
Only 3 cities I know in Australia.
Yeah.
I was about to say they are the ones, but done.
Pretty much. Now, Chook is a character in Muriel's wedding, but what is a Chook?
Again, it's probably an insult.
No.
I got nothing.
This is thinking music.
I have no idea.
It's a chicken. Which is where Chookers comes from. Because
Chook.
if it was a full house, they'd get to eat chicken.
Barbecued chook. Do you have takeaway like barbecued chooks at your supermarkets there? No. Well, you would, otherwise you'd know. Yeah, we call them the affectionately termed the bachelor's handbag.
Yeah.
The barbecued chook.
They are, aren't they?
You get a few good meals out of them.
Oh, yes.
I've got one in the fridge right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, vegetarians or vegans.
I'm not apologizing at all, I'm a
Aaron doesn't care about you.
My sense of humor. Again, I'm always offending people. Like I'll make a joke that I'm on a cheeseburger diet or something like that, and suddenly I've offended somebody because they're vegan. Anyways.
It's raining here now, which means my gorgeous husband will be coming in from the whatever it is he's doing out there in a minute.
And you guys need it out there, I believe.
Oh, always need the rain here. Always need it.
We were just put in a drought warning today.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's not good.
The governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, told the residents of New York City to stop using so much water. And the amount of expletives I saw that were aimed at her on the internet today were many. Because no one else lives in the state. It's us and then everyone else. So yelling at us that it's our fault, no, it's not.
Yeah. Well, there's also a gazillion people on that island, so.
Yeah, there are.
Or in New York City. So, I don't know. America's a mess at the moment. So, we're going to move on to Muriel's Wedding because that is a classic Australian film that is in its 30th anniversary. Goodness gracious me. How many weddings has she had by this point? Actually, no. She married Bryce the year after, and that's it. Now they've got like grandkids and they're happily married. We don't need a sequel. Anyway, Spencer, you reviewed the musical this week, and I made you watch the movie. So let's get your thoughts on that.
I listened to the whole cast recording. It very much reminds me of like that typical new musical theater sound that has become, I'd say, pretty oversaturated. I see so much that they do kind of blend together sometimes when they have this, oh, it's 2024, yay, sound. But I actually, the lyrics really stood out to me in this show. I enjoy the lyrics a lot. and some of the orchestration as well was very clever. There was this new song I'd never heard before called Waterloo that I really loved. No, of course, I loved the inclusion of the ABBA songs in there. It was fun. It just sometimes things can be fun, and that's a great thing, and a common theme that we see with a lot of these movie adaptations, that sometimes it is okay for a show to be fun.
Musical theatre is often dress-ups and sing-alongs anyway, isn't it? So sometimes fun is good. And I reckon, particularly with this musical, because listening to it again, because obviously I heard it over and over and over and over and over and over being in it, but watching it, I think this is a musical that you need to see, not necessarily just listen to. I really feel the combination of the production and performance of it then it's just fun, and you get swept up in it. So I agree, though. Orchestrations are great and the lyrics are very clever.
Yeah.
And it's very moving too, if you like that kind of thing.
How did you go with the Australian culture, Spencer? This is sort of so interesting. How did you cope?
I gotta tell you, it took me like 10 songs to get used to the Australian accent in the singing.
Because it gets put on.
Even like British musicals don't have the accent when they sing, for the most part.
No, because they don't put it on.
And so like it was so jarring, and I was like, even in the movie, I tried to start the movie at 1.5 times speed, and I was like, okay, I can't do that. I have no idea what they're saying with this accent at that speed.
I talk fast with an Australian, but I don't put it on. Like, we do tend to, I don't know if, is it a conscious decision, Pippa, that you turn the accent up or what? Because I know I do it when I do my introductions. If I say g'day to someone, I'm saying g'day. I don't say g'day. I don't do it like that, but on the show, like, it's a conscious thing to do.
Well, it depends entirely on the character that you're playing and how you're being directed and the production. So my voice is what it is. It's not necessarily a particularly Aussie accent. It might sound that way to Spencer, for example, or other people. But if you put a really ochre accent next to mine, will sound quite different. But it does depend on your character. And I think particularly with music theatre and Muriel's Wedding, very heightened. It's heightened comedy. They're almost caricatures of people. They're being made fun of. And sorry, we've got like thunder and rain here. I don't know if you can hear that now all of a sudden.
That's very metal.
Yeah, so it just depends on the character. Spencer, there are people that speak like that.
Yeah.
Truly.
No, I'm aware. When I worked at a summer camp that I first attended, we had a team of Australians and Brits, and it was me and my best friend. We're the only Americans on the team. So by the end of the summer, we were saying bin and all these, other non-American isms. And so, very used to the Australian accent. It's just like when it was in the movie, I was like, whoa, this is a lot.
Well, the thing, I don't see them in the movie as caricatures. They are people I grew up around. They're people I know.
That is true.
Okay, so there's a comedy aspect to it, but that's what we are.
But that's the beauty of PJ Hogan's script, and he knows those people. He wrote about, that's where he grew up. That's largely based on his life, and they are real people. When I say caricatures, I don't mean that they're not real, but I think that heightened comedy, there's a certain style which is like larger than life characters, but there's also a truth and a reality to them. It's a very popular way of Australians producing comedy. But yeah, all at once like that, it's probably a bit much. And I think I haven't done very many productions where, well, obviously I've done Sondimes and other musical, Wicked and all these other musicals where they are American or they're English. And so that's the accent that I put on. So for most of my musical theatre life, I was using another accent other than my own, and it was quite refreshing and nice to be able to sing in an Australian accent. But having said that, because we're not used to it, it's quite tricky. Even though this is my normal voice, when I want to sing that way, it sounds odd to me too. It's quite jarring to me as well, because we've been raised to sing with an accent.
Yeah,
that's why it's refreshing to me when I do hear it. When Missy Higgins started, when she was coming on the scene, and she has a beautiful way of singing with her natural accent. I was like, wow, I want to do that. I still don't though. Like when I sing with bands and things, I don't know what exact accent I'm using, but it's not that. The Australian accent is quite far back in your mouth. It's very lazy. If you're to do an
Yes.
Australian accent, it's fun. And the American accent is forward. You know, you've got to use your teeth and your tongue and your lips and everything. It's really quite active. But then your Aussie voice it's kind of almost back in your throat. Yeah, you know, you might not even, you know, you don't,
Yeah.
consonants are just a suggestion, you know, what, you know, like I'm going.
Yeah, know what you mean, mate.
I'm going to go out
Yeah.
there. I've got to go to Dunny, and then I'm going to up shops, and I'll get some fish and chips, come back, maybe a stubby or two. Yeah, I'll be back, I don't know, later, Savo. Like, what? What did you say? I can't understand a word you're saying.
I perfectly understood it. Spencer, did you understand any of that?
I got 60%.
Yeah.
Nice work.
What's a stubby?
That one I know.
But I think too, like, because it is back in the throat like that, and quite lazy in the mouth, it's hard to sing.
Yeah.
I find anyway.
Yeah. And I think that's why it gets put on a little bit more.
Maybe, yeah, and you've got to find how to get the vowels out.
It's also like learning to talk again in a way.
Yeah, exactly. And some
Yeah.
vowels are really hard to sing, you know, big, huge belt notes at the end of a song. You're always praying for a vowel that's easy to sing. And if it's not, you kind of move your vowel around a bit so you can try and land it, you know, where it's so many musical directors say, that's not an I, you're singing an E. Please let me sing it.
Yeah, no, it's strange. Well, anyways, look, I love pretty much most of this music. I think a couple of things don't work. I don't think it needed to be modernized because so much about that film and what we love about it is that is a whole package of everything, the hairstyles, the fashions, the music, just the tone, the vibe. So I feel like modernizing it in a way and having that like, shared, subscribe song,
Yeah.
it took it away from the Muriel's Wedding brand in a way, but the rest of it was there. I think Joni needed a little bit more than Perry because Perry wasn't that much of a character in the film, whereas Joni, her one line, the beautiful Gabby Millgate, which is a line that was repeated millions of times afterwards and still is today. I've brought it up in episodes when, you know, getting people to do Aussie accents, and it's said in the film like 3 times, maybe 4 at most, I think, but I do think it's only 3. But it was so, I don't know, mundane that it was just so impactful, and it obviously, you know, got a life of its own, but it is so iconic. And having said that, there are numerous iconic moments in this movie from the very start of Muriel catching the bouquet, and then obviously you yourself, you're in the movie, you had a beautiful bitch fight with Sophie Lee.
Sure did.
Wonderful fight during Waterloo, which I want to know, was there ever a long shot? We were robbed of a long shot of the two of you rolling around on the floor with Rachel and Tony performing Waterloo. We just don't get it.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because back in those days we were working on film, right?
Mhm.
And we were running out of film, and Muriel's Wedding was a low budget film.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, nobody could have imagined the massive success the movie would have had. I mean, it was great fun shooting it. It had a great vibe and it's a great story and all the rest of it, but it was a low budget Australian film. So we were running out of film on that day, and PJ really wanted that scene. He really wanted the bitch fight in there,
Yep.
and he wanted to intercut it, obviously, with the girls in Waterloo and have that whole story going.
Yep.
But he said, okay, we've got just enough film here to film the bitch fight. So if we don't get this right, it's not going in the film. So you're lucky you even got that much of it, to be honest. I reckon he would have definitely pulled back for a wide shot on that.
Because we can see their outfits, whether it's them or the stand-ins, we can see that there is someone at least there while you're rolling around. And the
Yeah.
whole time I'm watching it again, because I watched it 3 times recently, and I've seen it 20-something times in my life. The whole time I'm sitting there, pull back, please, pull back. No, we didn't get a pullback. We didn't get a long shot.
No, but we had specific marks to hit. You know, we had our marks on the floor. You roll over here, then you punch her in the face, and then you roll back there, and then she pulls your hair, and then you roll here, and you jump up and you push that. And it was all really, really, well, it always is with cameras, particularly moving around. You really want to hit certain marks, but
Yep.
it was really, really specific. And he said, right, you two, you got to get it first take or it's not going in the film. So we did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's the bitch fight that almost never was.
That's right.
And it's a classic moment in Australian cinema. It really is, with the two of them performing. And yeah, okay, so just a few more things. I love when the mum pulls up to the wedding and there's Sydney 2000 on the cab. I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, it's the old logo. Sydney 2000 Olympics, Spencer.
That was a great Olympics.
It was,
I was
wasn't
watching the Midnight Oil documentary.
Yeah.
Do you know Midnight Oil, Spencer? That's a good band, Aussie band.
No clue.
Oh, I should have put them on, but see, I love the Oils, but they're not really metal. Great band. Anyway, we had this big to-do about the Prime Minister who was in at the time, Conservative, wouldn't say sorry to our First Australians, to the Indigenous people, for all the wrongs that had been done.
Yeah.
It's a very concise way of putting it. Obviously, it's a much larger issue, but all it would take was a sorry. All it would take was some acknowledgement that they'd been colonised, and let's try and move forward together and respect your culture. Solid generation. I mean, we could go on for hours. Anyway, and our Prime Minister said, "I'm not saying sorry for anything," and oh God, he's such a dickhead, John Howard. I was at the opening ceremony of the 2000 Olympics because a really good friend of mine was one of the designers on it. Got us some tickets, yeah, and I went with my best friend, and it was insane. It was so good. Then Midnight Oil came out, and I'm like, what's from their pants? What's written on their tops? And they had sorry written on their suits. They'd all worn black track suits with sorry written on it. God, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. Anyway, I digress.
That's right. I rewatched the opening and closing ceremonies because I watched like all through them all.
It was really good.
Yeah, so as I said before, I had seen it when I was a kid. And at the time, 94, for listeners at home, I've spoken a little bit about it before. Now, the Australian film industry, it was at a turning point here. We had Muriel's Wedding, we had Priscilla. The next year we had Babe and we had Shine. Now, also what happened in Sydney was that Fox sent the Power Rangers movie to Australia. And that's where the Fox Studios came from, was because they were at the Sydney showgrounds and Fox ended up buying the property. Now, at the time, sort of 95, 96, did you feel, as an actor, the shift of Hollywood is starting to really take notice of us and take us seriously on this international scale, as opposed to just being a novelty that we kind of were in the 80s?
Did I feel a shift?
Yeah.
I think so. But then at that time of my life, I was so far up my own ass that I was just kind of living day to day and trying to work and get done what I was going to get done. No. Look, I think...
We were young.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we were all young.
Didn't care. No, we're an acquired taste, and it's really lovely. But there's so many talented people in this country, and many, many more productions could be made if we had more money, So I think it's hats off to our directors and producers and performers and everyone who in that industry who makes the work that they do on such small budgets and then is able to be recognised and appreciated overseas. For me, that's the exciting part of that and continues to be, really. I mean, I think we're always pushing shit uphill when it comes to our budgets and what we can do and what we can't do and how many people will come out to see the films and all of that jazz. So overseas market is somewhere where we all want to go if we can, so that we can make our money back that we've spent on the production, really. But Showcase, we've got great stories and great talent, as everyone in every country does. And I'm very proud. I'm very, very proud of all of those productions and the way that it paved for us, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and then we got The Matrix sent here, one of the biggest blockbusters at the time. But then in the 2000s, obviously, New Zealand overshadowed us with The Lord of the Rings.
Well, I mean, and now it's Canada.
Now it's Canada, yeah.
Canada and Georgia, the film capitals of the US.
Yeah, but now we're filming big Marvel movies here, so...
Well, sorry, Aaron, I kind of missed that part of your question. So, now that I'm here in WA now, my brother is a producer and my half brother is a producer, and he's just been over in LA selling our WA studios over there, and apparently they're going to bring quite a number. One specific, he can't talk to me about it, so even if I wanted to, I couldn't talk to you about it. But I know there's a massive production coming to be shot over here in WA because the studios have been built, and there's a lot of interest in overseas from there too. So I think, hoping that will be really good for the industry here.
Yeah, because we have a great work ethic.
Well, I've talked to Aaron about it also. Right now, you're seeing a lot of film and TV stars on stage in New York because there's very little work in LA. You have all these big people who are making their Broadway debuts. I just saw Friday night, Robert Downey Jr. is on stage. George Clooney in March is making his Broadway debut. You have all these actors who are huge names who can't find work. So they're like, okay, I'll go back to the theater. Denzel is doing Othello. Like all these people who just, it's hard to find screen work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that there's not as much happening over there.
Productions are going to certain countries that, and I'm not talking about Australia here, certain countries that don't have unions because it is so much cheaper and so much more efficient for the big studios to send a blockbuster over to, say, someone like Hungary and film it there because the crew doesn't require a union. That's all I'm going to say on that. Now, just back on Muriel's, just one more thing. I'm going to move us along to the interview. The cover art of the CD, I'm quite disappointed they changed the cover art because what they've done is they've taken what was an iconic image. We looked at it, we knew that's Muriel's wedding. Now what they've done is they've taken away that. It's just the title with a whole bunch of sort of symbols around it. And it looks like anything. It could be anything. The fact is that our iconography here in Australia is good enough. It's identifiable as it is. To have done that to one of our most iconic titles, I think it's a bit of a backward step. It's a misguided decision there because you have just stripped away that iconography of any identity it had.
Yeah, it's there's a bit of controversy around that and a few other decisions that were made. But I think I agree with you. It's often the way when films get made into musicals. I mean, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, right? When I heard that they were making Muriel's Wedding into a musical, I didn't want to be a part of it at first. I said no to that. Thank you very much. Please, do we have to fuck another great Australian film? Or any film for that matter. As you can see how I get in trouble in music theatre when I say that kind of stuff, because people hate me because I have the roles that they would, chew their arm off to get, and here I am bagging it. But I've just seen it flop so many times because it loses so much in translation, and it's just all of a sudden they're singing and dancing and it's just, oh, fuck, this was good and now it's shit. Yeah. But it must be difficult. I've never done it myself, but it must be difficult to actually transfer a film to the stage. What's another one? Dirty Dancing, stuff like that. And I think a lot of decisions in that process get made that a lot of people aren't going to be happy with. But like you say, they've modernised the music. I mean, I think the music is fantastic and the lyrics are great. They're great artists who have done it. But I do agree too. Like but they try and do that because they think that's what's going to sell and they want to make it more appealing to a wider audience. And that did work. You've got younger people now who are checking out the film because they were attracted by the musical because it's, the viral, and all of that stuff is right up their alley. So I think there's always going to be that fallout for those of us who are the diehards and go, but. I was really pleased though when I was invited to see it, and I was grateful I'd been invited, and I graciously went along with my arms folded. Mm-hmm. I thought the first song was too long, and I was like, and then we started, and then I saw my character, and I'm like, I didn't say that. And then I thought to myself, for God's sake, Pippa, calm down, cross your arms, enjoy the show, you ungrateful bitch. So I did just that, and I really did enjoy the show because I let go. I'm not suggesting this is what you need to do, but I just kind of went, let go. It's a different medium now. It's something new, and there's a lot to be appreciated. But I do agree, but I think it happens all the time, and we just got to roll with that, And then when I was asked to come and audition for it, when they got it up and running and toured it, I was asked to come and audition for Betty, for the mother, as well as Deirdre.
Okay, yep.
So I went in and auditioned for both. And I did that because I wanted Betty. I didn't want Deirdre because I'd played a lot of those kind of roles before, and I just didn't want to get typecast there. I wanted to move into, I'm not the glamour anymore. I'm 54 years old.
We have eyes, Pippa.
I can play plain. I can play anyone.
We have eyes.
I don't know, but you've got to move through. Like once you hit, I tell you what, once you're a middle-aged woman, you become invisible. I can steal shit from the supermarket and no one's going to know. I mean, no one knows.
Now they're going to know because you just literally told the world.
I said I could. I could if I wanted to.
Good. Yes, it's a key word there.
I didn't say that I steal garlic. I didn't say that. I'm in my midlife crisis. I'm in the song from Amyl and the Sniffers that's my menopause anthem is No More Tears.
Yeah.
And the one that I really should be the song for my mother is Choices, basically. Yeah. But she's dead now, so I can't tell her how I feel. But anyway, don't wait till it's too late. That's the moral.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's very few roles for middle-aged women in musical theater, especially exciting ones. I mean, it's Mama Rose and Madame Morrible and...
Well, there's Miss Hannigan, Norma Desmond, Madame Thénardier. There's quite a few. Auntie May, she's not a spring chicken. Annalee Owens. Oh, she's got a young son, but she's typically middle-aged. There's a few.
That's right. I mean, you've got the witch in Into the Woods.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes. No,
That's pretty good.
That's a great run. You did Into the Woods, obviously, in Australia.
Yeah, I did.
The original Australian production.
Yeah, with the Sydney Theatre Company. I played.
Yeah.
I mean, no, Into the Woods. I played Cinderella because I'd done
Little Night Music.
the other one, Little Night Music as well.
Yeah. God, what a way to start your career off, for crying out loud.
I know, right? I was so lucky. I went into that. Oh my God. I auditioned for that, and I'd never auditioned for a musical in my life. And I'd just come over from WA, and I had lucked out. My mum was a dreadful stage mother, but she actually did manage to somehow get me with an agent who knew Wayne Harrison, fantastic, beautiful Wayne Harrison, who was directing. And I went and met with him and sang for him, this agent. And he went, right, okay, cool, I'll take you on. And there happens to be an audition coming up. Would you like to go in? He must have had to force me in the door for them. Anyway, I walked in, and there's this row, as there always is, of all the creatives. And they're all smiling at me. I didn't know what I was doing there. I hadn't had any formal training. I'd never seen a musical. I was accidentally cast in The Wizard of Oz as Dorothy in my school musical because I was reading opposite someone else who wanted to play Scarecrow, and then they gave me the role. And they're like, oh, you've got the role. I'm like, what do you mean I've got the role? Would you like to do what? I can't. Anyway, so that was fun. Then when I had done TV before I did the musical and stuff like that. Anyway, so I went in. I just had this summer dress on, and I don't think they might have had shoes. Anyway, I went in and they said, right, hello, how are you? And blah, blah, blah. And they said, so what are you going to sing for us? And I said, well, I'm going to sing this song. They said, right, oh, okay. So just go and take your music to the pianist. And I'm like, oh, I don't have any music. And they're all like smiling and smirking and looking at each other. It's like they're all going, oh, fuck, here we go. This is going to be it. It's that I was probably there. They were expecting me to be there one of the day, that they just go, oh, you poor love. Yeah, you're not going to make it. And they went, oh, well, what were you planning on doing? And I went, oh, well, I was just going to sing a cappella. And they're laughing at me. They're trying not to, but they're like, a couple are interested, like, what is going on here? And so I just didn't know. I didn't get it, because you just don't do that. You walk into a musical theatre audition, you've got your music prepared. And these days, usually I sing a song from the show because I bypass that, sing your own song kind of thing. But in those days, you're starting out. So they went, okay, all right. Go for it. So I stood on my little spot and I sang my song, and they went, okay, can you just wait outside for a minute? And I went, okay, and just went out. I was like, I don't know, 18, 19 something. And then the casting agent that went in, she came out, she gave me some scripts, and she said, would you just have a look at these scripts, and then they'd like you to come back in and read these scripts. And I'm like, oh, that'll be fun. Not nervous.
None the wiser. Yep.
No idea. Went in, did it, had a good time. I'm like, oh, that was fun. They're like, yeah, it's fun, wasn't it? I'm like, yeah, she's really funny. She's like, this is a really cool story. And they're like, did you know Sondheim? I'm like, nah. And then I'm like, who's that? Was that the writer? I'm like, yeah.
Oh,
music. And I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, great. Yeah, love it. Great. Anyway, they said, we're assuming you don't read music. I'm like, no. But I'm quick. I'm a very quick learner.
Yep.
All right. Next I heard they gave me the part, and it was all on from there. So pretty lucky.
And now you're sitting on this show. Anyway.
I am. Trying not to drop the C-bomb.
I'm going to quickly move us on, though, because I've got a few questions about your career and hopes and dreams and all that. And we are running a little bit over. Now, if I can find my segue. You've just got no dignity, Spencer Share. G'day listeners, Aaron here. It's the middle of the night in America and early morning in the UK, so I thought I should probably do the bloop news this week myself, especially after last week's 10, 11-minute news break. So I'm going to rush through this very, very quickly. You can check out Jonathan and his work at The Second City in Brooklyn, New York City. They just had Michael Shannon on for Comedy Week in New York City, and every week, I think they're on every 2 weeks, they'll have a different guest come in who tells a story, and then the troupe will improvise. So Jonathan is one of the musical directors and a composer of songs for them, as well as a part-time performer. So you may be lucky to see him perform, and he is amazing. You can catch Lizzie B this December to early January in Yeovil in Jack and the Beanstalk at the Westlands Entertainment Centre, where she is playing Princess Jill. Spencer has another show coming up, this time at Green Room 42. He is doing Fake Bands, Real Songs, which is a concept that I'm excited about, as I'm sure everyone is, because we get to hear Powerline from a Goofy movie. So check his socials for details on that. And last but certainly not least, Sir Alfie Parker has just opened in Shame, Shame, Shame at the Manchester Royal Exchange, which is a British musical about a working class couple who strike it rich and then lose it all again. But it's a whole sort of quote where she was asked, what are you going to spend the money on? And Viv Nicholson, one of the lead characters, said, I'm going to spend, spend, spend. And so that obviously became a quote. I myself have some things in the works, which we can't announce yet, but there may be some happenings here at Thrash and Treasure. So that's very exciting. Stay tuned for that. And we hopefully have some new shows coming up that have been long in development. So we are hard at work at those. But also you can go to thetonistonTales.com and buy a copy of my novels and my plays, and every bit helps. And also buy a copy of Blue Sky by the band Walkin', because that's the theme song to Lizzie and Alfie's podcast. And 20% of every sale goes towards their podcast and buying Dolly some treats along the way. So I guess that's all for the Bloob News for today. Back to the episode. And we're back with Thrash and Treasure. I'm Aaron, that's Spencer, and see that girl, watch that scene, diggin, the Pippa Grandison. Now, what's one thing you're terrible at that everybody else can do perfectly well?
Everybody else can do. Everybody else.
Yep.
Everything I'm thinking of, I think that not everybody would. Gosh, that's a really tricky question, Aaron.
Really? Most people are straight up and will admit their biggest faults and completely humanize themselves.
No. Oh, God, don't worry. If you want to go overtime, I got a fucking container load of faults. Yeah. I think the question is, what can everybody else do that I can't?
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that there's probably other people that can't do these things too. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but there will be, of course. Yeah.
I cannot get out of bed in the morning without having 2 cups of tea.
Yep.
And trying to talk myself into getting out of bed, and that I can do it.
Yeah.
I just can't. I cannot get out of bed until I've had my cup of tea. But people would be like that.
That's laziness. That's laziness.
Oh, yeah, that's laziness.
Yeah. I completely relate.
Okay. I cannot look at myself in the mirror without feeling self-loathing.
Yeah, no, I get that. I got this mouth. Oh my God, I have this mouth. I was just saying to Spencer before, no offense to Tony and Rachel, but seeing their pre-Hollywood teeth and how jealous I am that they got to go to Hollywood and buy themselves new fucking teeth. I can't wait, because that's what I'm going to do. That's what I want to do.
You know, I don't want to be like that, though. Like, when I was younger, people made a big fuss of what I looked like. It was always such a thing, and you're always getting looked at in this industry and photos taken and all of that stuff. But it was too much pressure on women to look beautiful and skinny and perfect before they looked at anything else that was going on with them. And I got caught up in all of that stuff. I just kept hearing it all the time. Oh, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. And I didn't really think that. And I hated my body, and I had an eating disorder because I was always trying to lose weight. I had a producer once tell me I didn't have a body to match my face.
What a prick.
I know, what a cunt.
Yeah, I'll leave that one in. I'm leaving that one in. Sorry, Spencer's parents.
Now that I'm getting older, and looks fade as you get older, right? And you have to, particularly as a woman in this industry, you've got to make that transition to, okay, or unless you get work done and go down that path. But I'm not doing that. One, I can't afford it. And two, where does it end? My eyebrows will be, but you've got to then be able to go to look past what you look like in the mirror, with your little belly pouch and your double chin and your sagging skin, and honestly, everything's dropping. Bloody hell. There's nothing defying gravity anymore. I can tell you that. So I don't want to care. Honestly. Tie my flaps in a bow, and it's just out of control. So I don't want to see that, but I have to get used to it, unless I have a flapectomy. But see, I'm not going to do that.
Poor Spencer. His poor innocent ears. He's like 21 years old, 22.
I'm sure he knows what flaps are.
Yeah, look, no, I totally get it. And we had actually spoken about it. Doing this show, it's hard because I have my dad's genes, so therefore I have shitty teeth as it is, but also violence along the way. I've copped a lot, and my teeth are broken and damaged and cracked, and it's not good. And I've just never been in a position to be able to afford it. But I have to, well, I don't have to, I choose to sit here on this show and interview people from Hollywood and Broadway who have amazing teeth. And look, it would destroy my confidence if the guests that we had on weren't so warm and willing and loving and trusting in me as a host and a leader and a producer. So if there wasn't that, my confidence would just, I would be quieter than Spencer. So
I feel your pain. But it's funny, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, when we're taking our last breath, it's not going to matter.
no,
You know, that's not what we're going to think about. But it's hard, and that's the human condition. You know, you get these things in your life that you just hang on to, and for some of us, it's a constant battle to try and change that narrative in our own mind. And it's okay that it's a journey. You know, that I don't know if I will ever be comfortable with the way I look. I don't know if I'll ever be able to shed that it doesn't matter anymore. It only matters what's inside me and who I am. I don't know if I can shed that, but I teach my kid to not be like me. Generally, that's how I parent. Just do exactly the opposite of me and you'll be a great person.
Yeah. No, but also as an actor, you do have the benefit there to use your body as a tool of different types of people and different stories, and sort of learn that, fit those different molds, if you will, in different personalities and lifestyles and all that, because that's part and parcel of playing a part. And then in terms of, obviously, in your younger years, and then now, how has that ego changed? And now you talk about sort of this stage in your life and dealing with that. Is there a constant conversation with your ego about that?
Yeah, I mean, ego obviously is something that everybody has.
Everyone, yeah. So that's what I'm meaning, the human ego, not an oversized ego.
For me now, like it seems to be. Yes, it happens. You know, funnily enough, it seems to happen less when I'm working now, and more just in my own life, in my private life. So it's shifted. So it's not necessarily about the performing ego anymore. It's about who I am in my life, and I don't need to feel that way but I do. But like I've played many comedic sexual predators in my time, and there's been a lot of sexuality coming out of me, my characters, for a lot of my life. On stage, I tend to play different kinds of people, but film and telly, it's always like, oh, you know, the comedic sexual predator, but as I say, when I played one recently, again, 53, which I was then, I'm like, what am I doing still playing this? My tits are pushed up and I'm trying to seduce this younger man. But it was comedy, right? But I did find, I'm like, okay, this is Pip. So it doesn't matter what shape you are. It's obviously that you can portray these kind of characters. And so trying to, you know, get it. And when I looked back myself, I'm like, oh my God, don't look. Oh my God, you're so fat. Nobody else sees that. People just see what you're portraying. So now I don't look back when I'm working. I look back when I finish, but I don't look on set ever. Say, oh, you want to come look at the split, Pip? Do you want to come and have a look? I'm like, nope, just tell me if I'm in the wrong spot, or if you want me to play it a different way, I don't want to see it.
Yep.
And then I just concentrate on the work. So in actual fact, I think the ego is better for me now because I'm more grounded in my work, but it's my personal life where I tend to struggle with it. I'm confident that hopefully be able to love myself properly before I cark it.
That's it. Well, look, you know what? You're learning firsthand the lessons that all of us learned when we sat in a cinema in 1994 and watched Muriel's wedding, because that was the first time that a lot of quote unquote average people were seen in film that weren't the butt of the joke, that weren't the sidekick, the funny sidekick, or it wasn't, even like with the mental illness with the mum, it wasn't exploitative in any sort of way. And it wasn't a horror or something like that, you know what I mean? These were average, normal people, and us in our western suburbs, we were seen, and that's just, a lot of people got their confidence from that movie, Pip.
Yeah, look, that's such a great thing that you say, and it is true, and it's a testament to, I mean, I love PJ, obviously PJ Hogan, who wrote and directed the film. I adore him, and he wrote these incredible characters, great story, but really relatable characters, and flawed, and we could all see a bit of ourselves in there, and the message was strong and clear, and I think that's why the film has done so well, you know. It's not trying to be some kind of, intellectual ride where you have to figure it out and it takes you 2 years to know what the movie's about. That's fine. If you want that kind of stuff, that's fine. It's got its place. But I think the simple, strong message resonates with people because it's easier to hang on to one thing, The human condition is such a powerful thing. I love that, the music, you guys both love music, obviously. And music for me is one of the only things that brings people together, like that everyone, no matter who you are, everybody loves music. Everybody gets moved by music in some way. Sometimes it's to violence, unfortunately. Other times it's to tears. Other times it's to action, but generally there's a connection. And I think that is the one thing for me, apart from breathing and eating and shitting and all that stuff, that we all do as humans, no matter what our politics are or what our, what our beliefs or, all the rest of it. So
to quote that wise old philosopher, music makes the people come together. Yeah, thank you, Madonna. Anyways, now Australian filmmakers used to have a knack for bittersweet, quirky comedies that showed how Australian life is. Does it feel these days that that tone is being replaced by more broader comedies to appeal to the worldwide, say, streaming market, if you will?
Sometimes I think so. But I also think that you're talking about saturation before, and Spencer in the, that kind of sound, that musical sound, and I do think sometimes you can get saturated with a certain style, and so potentially, trying new avenues to get in. But yeah, look, I think it's interesting. It's a question it's something we could talk about for a long, long time. Yeah. And it depends because there's so many productions out there. Some of them are doing that and some of them aren't. But it makes sense. It's hard work getting a production up and happening, getting it sold, getting it seen. Yeah. It's a really hard road, and there are games that you have to play. Whoever's setting those rules, I don't know. But I think once you break in, like all of these streaming services are great for our country because we can make our stories now and we can get them seen. So I think at the moment there's been a bit of a glut of small town stuff, kooky stuff happening in small towns in Australia, and obviously it does.
With an American lead.
I've just done one.
I know you just done one, and I'm not bad mouthing it. As an observation that's a phase that we're going through.
Oftentimes with productions, you need to sell it, as I was just saying, and oftentimes the money will come from a few different places, a couple of different countries. Australia production will have American money in it. It'll have English money in it, wherever. And with that come conditions. You need to put an American star in it, or you need to put an Australian, it has to be a star, it can't be an unknown, or, we need to shoot it here or there. So there's always going to be that. And I think sometimes, unfortunately for us, but sometimes fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, that's a game that needs to be played.
Well, and you're seeing that in theater so much.
Yeah.
With all the stars. Everything is stars. Everything is stunt cast. I mean, it's at this point where I'm so tired of it. The other day, seeing Robert Downey Jr. was great because I'm like, oh, it's not a revival. He's doing new work. I admire him so strongly for choosing to make his Broadway debut, not doing the 27th revival of Pirates of Penzance, which we're getting later this year, which they just renamed Pirates the Penzance musical for shits and giggles.
What? Why did they do that?
Oh, I
don't know. It takes place in 1920s New Orleans. It's a whole thing that's really confusing. But I got the press release and I'm like, why are they changing the name? Wow. But Robert Downey Jr. doing new work is so great because it's not like, oh, I just want my Tony so I can EGOT. No, he wanted to do something new and exciting instead of Othello or whatever. And
sink his teeth into it. Yeah.
And he can because he's Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
So he can do that.
And it'll sell no matter what.
That's exactly right. So it's the same kind of premise. But, I get the shits when in this country when they put TV stars that obviously don't sing into musical theatre roles because it's bums on seats. I mean, I guess you do have to get people off their couch somehow because it's so easy to stay home and stream. And, like even getting people to the theatre, to cinema, to see films over here is hard. Gosh, it's like pushing shit uphill.
Well, here too, yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to do something, I suppose. It's a shame it has to be that. Maybe they could spend their money on better advertising or, I don't know, encouraging people in other ways, to see an unknown, see a new up-and-comer. But that's something that kind of annoys me because you're like, well, if it's a TV star or a film star that can sing really well and do all the things that a musical theatre show requires, then great. But they butcher it. You're like, oh, really? There's so many other talented people who could do that.
Yeah, so as Aaron said before, the Australian films have a certain like vibe or a voice. To you, what is the sound of Australian musicals, or is there one?
I don't know that. I don't know. For me, I don't know that there necessarily is one. We do a lot of overseas productions here, but the new ones are coming up, and the voice I think is from the ones that I've seen that I really love are all looking now at our culture, our history, which I think is great because there's so many great stories and meaningful stories to be told there. So I think that's probably our voice. And I reckon that's our best spot to be. Incorporating Indigenous music as well is also something that I'm pretty passionate about.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's our voice. That's our voice going forward.
Yeah, it's funny just bringing that up. At 96 Atlanta Olympics closing ceremony, we sent our contingent over there to say, welcome to Sydney in 4 years' time. And it was an Indigenous Australian performance. Had that been played today, people would be sitting online going, this is fucking woke. I'm not watching this shit. The Olympics is woke now.
Oh, God, shut up.
I know, right? I know. But anyways, the Olympics were always woke. Now, as I mentioned before, you have this incredible vocal range and the whistle tone. And I, had seen you as a kid on GMA, so it aged us both. It was effortless, and it is a masterclass in singing. Now, what's your feelings on melismatic vocal acrobatics? Are you ready to bop them on the head with a rubber hammer?
Yeah, look, I'm not as violent as you, Aaron, so I don't know that I'd do that. But look, it shits me sometimes. I just want to hear one note. Can you just stay on the note? Just stop moving about.
Yes.
It's great that you're good at what you do, but does it have to do that all the time? Maybe well, I don't. Well, obviously they're technically good, but I feel the story gets lost. Tell the story. For me, a song is about the story, and great if you can sing well and you can make people feel, then they'll get excited with your voice. Then great, but you have to tell the fucking story.
Yes.
Come on, people.
It's like they're in those boxes where the money's there and the wind blows the money around and they're trying to grab the money. That's what it's like. They're trying to hit the note, but they can't get it and they're straining. It doesn't sound good.
That's kind of what they are doing in life, though, isn't it? They're in a box trying to get the money. That's why they're singing like that.
Yeah. No,
it's
awful.
It's a metaphor.
Sorry, and it keeps happening more and more and more in theatre, and I don't think we need it.
Maybe we'll get sick of that. Maybe that'll go out of fashion. Maybe somebody will stop doing it at some point, and everyone will go, "Oh, it's better." Probably will come around. It's a fad. It's a passing fad, like the yo-yo. Oh no, that kept coming back, didn't it? Fuck, no, that's not a good one. Slinky's not coming back. Slinky's too dangerous. No one's bringing that back because little kids get their fingers caught in it.
Really? Oh god.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wuss children get their fingers caught in that. Sorry, Spencer.
No, the vocal gymnastics that you're talking about. I've seen so many shows where it's just like, oh, you're showing off. There's really probably only one that I've seen where I'm like, oh, this works. This is telling the story. And it was The Notebook.
Oh, there you go.
Oh wow.
That vocally just like have you seen the movie?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Where Allie is stressed about whether to go with Noah or with her other guy whose name I forgot.
James Marsden.
And she is that vocal gymnastics is trying to convey her stress.
Okay. Yeah.
And she doesn't really know where she's going.
Yeah, okay.
And like that works to me as storytelling, but most of the time it doesn't in other things.
Well, that's right, because in that instance, she's using her voice as an instrument. And when you hear instrumentals, you can feel the emotion and the story that they're telling. So if it is done with that kind of intent, then that's great. But as you both say, when they're just showing off, it's snore, man. Come on, give us some substance.
Yeah.
But a lot of that's being lost now because people just kind of jumping on and going, "I'm famous, I can do this," and I'm like, well, really?
Can you really?
Well, they can. That's part of the problem, isn't it? Anyone can get on and make themselves famous, but
Well, yeah, but in terms of hitting the note, can they actually?
Well, we don't know. I mean, they could be auto-tuned. That's the thing, like when you're out there singing live, some people get tuned, so they sound great, but if you heard them at karaoke, they might not be able to do it. There's the true test, if you can sing at karaoke, because that's hard.
Yes, I can rap at karaoke. Now, last episode we were joined by the Empress of Impressions, Christina Bianco, and you yourself played Judith Durham, late legendary Australian singer. Sad to have lost her as well. Now, you sang that part brilliantly, but can you do any other impersonations?
Oh. No, really? No, I'm not really an impersonator. I'm sorry to disappoint you.
No.
No, I don't think I can.
Yeah.
No.
Well, oh
Would you
well.
like me to try something?
No.
Sorry.
No,
If I'm paid to do it, if someone hires me and I'll do it. So
yeah.
yeah.
Then you study it and you
Yeah.
practice. But you just don't walk around like imitating Betty Davis or someone.
No, and any of that stuff that I might do ever, I'll probably get in trouble for. So no.
I definitely want to know then. So you live on a farm. When was the last time you jumped in a puddle for fun?
Oh, jumped in a puddle for fun. Actually, I would have done that with Charlie. I think that was when I was doing Mary Poppins in Brisbane, and it was pouring with rain, as it often does there. And we were out on the balcony, and Charlie was 3. We were just jumping around in the puddles that were on the veranda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Oh, for me, it was Japan, running back from Universal Studios to get the ferry back to our cruise ship in time. And there was all these puddles. So it meant that my nephew, who I've raised, he was 5 at the time, just kept jumping from puddle to puddle. And then my camera fell out of my bag, like my video camera, and I was devastated. But it didn't break.
Oh my God, that's not getting there quicker.
No, but because of that, we missed the ferry back.
I was about to say, it sounds like you were wasting time.
Yeah, we had no money left because we'd been at Universal Studios all day. So here I am with my nephew in a foreign country. We have to get back to that cruise ship before they pull the thing up and leave, because they will leave without us regardless.
Oh my God.
But we got there because the hotel saw me crying with my nephew and they're like, what's wrong?
Oh,
We missed our ferry. And they paid for a taxi.
they would be very helpful. Japan, I love when I worked in Japan. The people there were so beautiful.
Yeah, okay. Yes, no, thank you so much. I'll round off the episode. It has been a pure joy. Really, it has. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me. That was good fun.
It's funny, I'd send out so many invites, and I'd sent one to your agent because I'd wanted to do this episode, as I say, Muriel's Wedding. You'd done both the movie and the musical. There's not many people who can say that, right? And the response I got back was, Pippa's keen, what next? Like, it was literally 4 words. It was great. Like, I loved that. I found it funny and very Aussie. So it just made me laugh that, yeah, it was just like, Pippa's keen, what next? And I'm like, okay, cool, sweet.
That might have been almost exactly what I emailed to them. I'm verbose. When I'm on the phone, I'm verbose. So they often like to email me rather than get stuck on the phone with me. I'm like, anyway, it's my career. So can you get me some... but yeah, short answer. I find email difficult to be who you are.
Yes.
And things get lost in translation with words. And I make jokes that people don't understand it's a joke, so they just go, "Well, this chick's a lunatic."
Yes. Oh my God, I feel so seen, Pip.
You are, because you're on the screen right in front of me.
Pure joy. Pure joy.
Oh, my pleasure. Nice to meet you on here, and Spencer, lovely to meet you too.
You as well.
Yeah, and enjoy Wicked.
Yes.
All right, lovelies.
But yes, anyways, I'll let you go. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. And I'll try and just get out of here. It'll be ages. I go by and then I go, oh, where is I can't. I've loved being on this show. You're both gorgeous and I'm thrilled to talk about stuff, and more power to you. You should keep doing this shit for always. And your teeth are gorgeous, so shut up.
Oh, they're not, trust me.
Go on.
All right, I'm just going to wrap it up quickly today because it's been a long edit, a fantastic episode. I am so thrilled, and I am dying of heat in Melbourne at the moment. It has been something like 37, 38 degrees Celsius, which is like 100 Fahrenheit. So yay. Anyways, a huge thank you to Pippa Grandison for joining me. And again, my heart goes out to you and your family. And I really hope to have you back on the show in the future because it was an absolute blast. And next time we're going to do something new and torture you with that metal album. Thanks again to Spencer for his excellent work. It was very quiet. I think there may have been a bit of a cultural shock this episode, and that's wonderful. I love that. Australia is crazy, people. Go watch Muriel's Wedding and Priscilla. Trust. Okay, so anyways, you can follow us on the social medias, but you can't follow Pippa because she's not on the social medias. She is a very smart woman. So you can follow us at Thrash and Treasure on Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube, Tumblr. What else are we on? All the things except Mastodon and TikTok. So go follow us there and obviously buy the Toniston Tales and help keep this show afloat. I don't know what else there is to say, so I'm just going to round it up. Thanks again to Pippa. You take care of yourselves, look after each other. Thanks for listening, and we shall see you next time. Uru!
like quicksand!
Okay, so but some people have that thing where they can't stand hearing people chewing.
I was slopping on a lollipop the other day in Spencer's ear.
Okay, well, slopping on a lollipop is a term that I'm now going to walk away from before I get in trouble.